Hey, what is going on, guys? How are you doing? Hold up, we're actually in the wrong spots, Mel. Let's switch us. Now there
Oh,
we go. Now we're official. Now it's official.
we were too worried about dancing in the background again that we didn't realize we were not in our position.
If you're just catching us for the first time, and you actually that's our new music intro to our thing here. But anyways, guys, hopefully you are having a great week so far. Hopefully you're tuning in and you're ready to yell with us here on another episode of Millennial. We're actually 31. We're actually 31 today, and so it's an episode with Billy and Mel. So hopefully you guys are doing well. But what we're going to be talking about today is actually something that we've all talked about, I think, at one point, and that's talking about going back in time, right? If we could just go back in time and change one or two things, right? Maybe life would be different. And so that's what we're going to be talking about today. But guys, if you are going to be jumping on here with us, please in the comment section, let us know. Let us know you're jumping in. We'd love to give you guys a shout out. And if you're going to be jumping on the replay or catching us on one of our other platforms, please let us know. And then also let us know maybe something that you would go back and change, if you could, right? So, but anyways, before we get into all that, Mel, how are you doing? It's been a week. What's going on?
Good. I got the little sniffle, so if anybody hears me, but I feel great. So I think it's just a cold, hopefully. But this week went by so fast. Every week is going by fast, and it's one of the things I would say. Dealing with this podcast of if we could go back, time accelerates as you get older. But no, I feel good. I did my makeup and I've got a new shirt on that I think you like.
Yes, coffee. I love a good cup of coffee. It's one of my favorite things to drink, and so and then I got a new outfit on today too. Like you're not the only one.
You're trying to keep up with me with your hair all done and.
Listen, I'm trying to take this thing to the next level. I'm trying to be super professional, right? We need 10,000 followers.
All of a sudden. Oh no, I like it. It looks comfortable. It's very stylish.
Yeah, and it's cool. Like Megan got me for Christmas Stitch Fix, and I know you know about that, and that's something very millennial. I think a lot of us do a lot of. I know it's not on the topic of what we're going to be talking about today, but I feel like the subscription boxes are super millennial. Like a lot of us do them,
Absolutely.
I mean, there's tons of them.
You get different sweater, like a different shirt and stuff every month, or?
Yeah, no, I get like a whole outfit, like shirt, pants, shoes.
Oh, you're stepping it up, Meg. Good job, Meg.
Because if you're like most. I would feel like I'm like most males. I hate shopping, right? Especially clothes. Like I'm like, oh, that looks good, and like you wear the same thing over and over again. You never really deviate. So this kind of gives you the opportunity to experiment a little bit. I would never probably buy this or look to buy this, but I put it on and it looked good. So, and it's funny. So you actually have a stylist, right? And that person does all your styling for you, and you'll never guess the name of the stylist.
Melissa.
Megan.
Megan. Okay. So is it really Megan though?
Yeah. So my stylist is Megan, and so I was like, "Are you working for Stitch Fix and you hadn't told me yet? Like, is that your side hustle that you're doing? Speaking of side hustles, is that your side hustle? You style for people? So, but anyways, we're already off on a tangent. So if I could go back in time, I probably wouldn't go on a tangent about Stitch Fix. Unless they're going to sponsor us, and then that would be fine. But but I think this is like an age-old question. Like if you could go back in time and change something, I think most people, there's always that answer of like, well, it's all the decisions I made have led me to where I am. Yes, I understand that, and that's a great thought to think. But I think deep down, most people want to, if they could change one thing, they probably would.
I think we, by now on our 31st podcast here, and a lot of our listeners and you and I would say we had to go through certain things to get to where we are. I agree. I think that there's definitely a lot of things that we could have been doing better. We could have done differently. We could have helped us here. We still would have gotten here. We still would be here. But absolutely, there's a lot of things that I could go back and tell my 18-year-old self to do or not to do. And what's funny, let me grab this. I have, I'd gotten these little notebooks at some point, and I started writing down life mottos. And it's not necessarily ties in with this, what we could change, but a lot of them were stuff that my dad says, and like some of his quotes that he says over and over. I've kind of adopted them as mine. But I started writing down things, and it almost is similar to like if you could go back, what would you tell yourself, or just like little quote. So it's funny. I want to get back to that, writing some things down, little notes to my younger self.
It's actually funny. Like in high school, they had this thing. I remember as seniors thinking about what stuff I would maybe tell myself to do differently or maybe do differently. I remember like high school senior year, like our English teacher made us write a letter to us like into the future. And I actually found it. It was in my yearbook, and I read it, and it was just like talking to myself, like in the future, like what I was going to be doing and stuff like that. And it's completely different from what I'm doing now.
Oh my God. So what's funny, real quick, there's a girl, Jillian, that I know. She is getting, she got married and she's pregnant. And on Facebook, she just posted this letter that she found that her mom found from like kindergarten or something. And the husband's name is Jeffrey, and they're pregnant. And it's a picture of her, and she has like a little baby, some type of baby carrier. And it says something about, dear God, please give me and Jeffrey a baby, or something about a baby, or, and come to find out Jeffrey was like her doll's name. And like, she wanted to have like a baby from like a brother or something. I don't know. So in the thing, it says, please bring me and Jeffrey a baby. And then she marries a guy named Jeffrey, and they're having a baby.
That's weird.
It's so cute.
It's cute, but it's really weird at the same time.
Baby.
Well, yeah, it was just interesting to go back and just be like, and start thinking about like, and then obviously I picked, I looked at my my senior year high school yearbook, and then you start going down memory lane, right? You're like, oh man, I wish I could have done that, or I wish I would have did this, right? And I never want to live life like we talked about before. I don't want to live life with regrets. Like I don't want to I'm not regretting that I did it, but maybe just maybe had a hint of what to do, I guess.
A guy named Jeffrey. This is so funny. Sorry, did you hear that?
Yes.
You open the other tabs for our podcast on Facebook, and it starts playing right away. Scared me. Sorry.
No, you're fine.
Don't go back in time and don't do that.
So, but I think we should get into it. I think we should just get into.
Oh, I'm excited. I've got a lot of stuff that I need to.
Well, go ahead and you start with the first one and let us know what would you tell 18-year-old Mel right now? Just imagine 18-year-old Mel, guys, for a second.
Oh, sad. Going off to Philadelphia, the big city for college. Thought I knew everything then, right? That's what our parents always say at teenagers. I have some funny ones and I have some serious ones. And the first one that I'm going to say, things that we've talked about too, is not putting a timeline on anything. Probably when I was a little girl going into, middle school, high school, you have this fantasy of the societal timeline of when we need to be married, have kids. And I had this fantasy of probably what my mom did was, you get married at a college, like 21, have kids, 23, 25, and you're this young mom and, the house and happily ever after, right? So my first thing is do not put any timeline on anything because clearly things changed 12 times. I mean, I was single at 21, then single at 25. Like I dated a guy, obviously married at 39, divorced at 31, 2 years later. It's like, so absolutely don't put time frames.
Yeah, that I didn't think about that one. Definitely. I think it's a little bit more different maybe for a guy situation. We don't have those same kind of time constraints on things. Like we're a little more free in that aspect. Whereas compared to, like a girl, like it's expected to be married, it's expected to have children, you're expected to, have all this stuff. And like, it's like, I wasn't expected to have that. Right. I think for me, I don't say I would gone to a different college. Right. Cause for those that don't know, right, I went to college completely out of state, away, like 16 hours away from my family. Didn't know a soul. And so that's what I wanted. I loved that because it forced me. I was already kind of extroverted in a sense. But like that really brought me out of my shell because I was forced to be around people that I didn't know and make friends. Right. And so some of those people are my best friends. Right. But I think I would have wanted to take more time in declaring a major than I did because I grew up in the hospitality industry. Not I'm saying there's anything wrong with that industry, right? I love it. If you work in it, good for you, but it's not the industry for me anymore. But I wish I would have took more time to decide, like freshman year, like I wish I would have been undeclared for maybe a semester and took some classes and figured out what I want to do. I probably would have took a finance class and figured out this is what I loved. And maybe, like you said, the decisions that we made led us to where we are today. And I would have maybe got to that decision a little bit quicker.
Yeah. I mean, they're saying now too, they suggest even like the younger generations. I mean, I think even for our generation, but to go to community college for a year or two, get your what are they called? The general credits or whatever they are.
General ed or something like that.
Yeah. And, it's like so young. That's what they're saying. How do you, think about all that we go through in our 20s. I think at 18 years old, actually you have to do it before that because you have to pick before you even go to college, to think that you're capable and ready and able to make a decision on a career for the rest of your life at that age. Like, come on.
Yeah. And like your parents want you to go to college. So they're super excited when you get accepted to these big colleges. Right. And like, I ask myself all the time, like, how does an 18-year-old know what he's going to do or know what she's going to do when she's 50? Like, there's so much life that happens in between that. Like, and so that's something that not necessarily a regret, right? But like, I wish I would have took more time in exploring because like the people that did that in college are still in the career fields that they were in. A lot of people that were like, oh, I know what I want to do aren't in the fields that they got a degree in. Right. And then the whole college debt. Now I've spent, now I'm 10 years into student loan debts when I could have probably, you know what I mean?
That's a big one. Yeah.
So definitely that one.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think I knew I wanted to do some type of art and design. In high school had taken a drafting and design, a computer programming, a graphic design. I was into fashion design. So I picked graphic design just because I liked that. I think other than maybe event planning, I don't think I would choose a different career. I think that was awesome for me. And I love designing, but yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean.
Oh yeah. Huh? You did. I was seeing whose turn it was. I got a good one.
Go. It's you.
Oh, I'm like, because I made notes. I was like, make sure I go back to my personal experience. I wrote, stop calling him, stop texting him. If he'd want you, he'd be there. And I was writing this down because I tell my friends this now, and I know it. Like, I live this. Like, obviously single again, but it's like, even when I was with, my boyfriends and married and whatever, I knew later in life, when a guy likes you and they want to be with you, they will. So that I started giving all this advice. So it's ingrained in me for now. Obviously, I live it, so it's like I don't have to worry about it anymore. But that whole thing is, it was like, don't call. It's like, oh, whatever.
Yeah, no, I totally Yeah, I mean relationships, right? I would say is probably the biggest thing that probably most people would go back and change. And if you are just jumping on right now, guys, we're talking about if you could go back in time and talk to your 18-year-old self, what would be some of the things that you'd say? And so let us know what would be some of those things that you would say.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's what it is. It's like, you I don't know that I mean, I'm saying experience helps these things. That's why we're saying, what you know now. If you knew then, you wouldn't be doing them. But I think with that is if letting things go, not overthinking is something like that. When oh, I like these comments. These are great. Billy just has a new, he's getting really sophisticated. Look, he looks so sophisticated today. He's getting sophisticated with StreamYard, adding the banners. Who is
Maybe
here?
I should have done production, or something like or producer or something like that.
Yeah.
No, but I mean, like you said, I think every relationship that you were in or you dealt with has definitely like led to the relationships that you're in now. But there's probably certain aspects of that relationship that I would have probably changed, because when you're 18, you're going to make some stupid decisions, right? Some dumb, like just, if I often would say, like, if I could, like, be in a room with my 30-year-old self when I was 18, like, it would have been like, what are you doing, dude? Like, you're just, well, but then again, like when you go, like, I know it stems back to college for me because a lot of life starts happening for you in college. If you get a chance to go to college, even if you get out of high school and you're just, you're living your life. I feel like that's where life really kind of starts for most people, because when you're in high school, you're kind of sheltered, right? You're in it's kind of like for me, I grew up in a smaller type of high school. I graduated with like 150 people, so it wasn't like huge or small, but I feel like you're in that bubble. And so a lot of those decisions, relationship wise, I guess you had to make those mistakes in order to learn how to not do them. But I'd much rather learn not to do them just from someone say, don't do that.
I think also goes back to my whole thing of like not putting a timeline on things. And then obviously, learning when someone's interested, not interested, like wasting time or whatever. But I think it's also like, probably not going to be your maybe first love, yes, maybe it's like a first love, or you think you love this person, or you think this person, but knowing what I want out of a partner, a friend, excuse me, everything that you're looking for now, like that like never existed back then, at our age and like with the experience. So it's like you're not going to be your lifelong partner here at age. I mean, look, it does happen. I mean, people meet people at that age, or even high school sweethearts or college sweethearts, and they come together. Absolutely. Yeah. For me, if I could go back and be like, yeah, this is just going to be a stepping stone, a relationship that's going to get you learning about yourself and others, and there's going to be 5 more down the road, so don't worry about this one.
Yeah. I think what I was trying to say was like maybe how I handled certain situations inside those events. Like, well, obviously, like I just said, and like you've said, those relationships have led me to being married to Megan, right? Like I had to go through those relationships in order to be where I'm at today. However, I do remember a specific time where I was 19, first time, like, I guess being in love, what love was when you were 19, and so it's like the first like steady girlfriend, I guess. And, she broke my heart and broke up with me. And I wrote her, this is when Facebook was just for college students, right? It's not even what it is today, guys. So for those that are not millennials, that are younger than us, this is, Facebook was a lot different when we were in college. But I remember just like, call it like it is. I was, 19 at a party school, so I'll let your mind kind of wander there. So maybe not in the right state of mind, and wrote her a Facebook message that was just like the most evil thing, like stuff you could say to somebody. And it was just like, if I could go back in time, I would have definitely stopped myself from, because at the end of the day, like you said, like you're going to go through other relationships. Like
Right.
I would tell myself, like, listen, you're going to be fine. Life is going to be great for you when you get married. Like, don't worry,
Right.
that person's on their way.
And on the flip side, for girls, usually it's like writing this long letter of like what we envisioned and what we wanted, and what they're never gonna get anything better, and how we tried, and all these examples of and wondering why, and all, it's like the opposite is like you go into and that's what guys do. Even to this day, when they're in their 30s and 40s, they turn into monsters when they are hurt or need to leave a situation, apparently. No, I'm kidding.
Defense mechanism, I guess.
No, I think that's the other thing is not like I had something in here. I'll move on to another one is people will hurt you. Don't like stoop to their level. It could be whether it's a relationship or a mean girl, or in business. I had some situations when I was probably in my mid late 20s, so I was older, but even just with business, with people taking advantage of you, or needing to have thicker skin. So I learned from those experiences, but just like walking away, like being above things. I do that now, but and I don't know really any situations or experiences, but just not letting, trying not to let people get to you, and just, moving on, like we said, instead of you writing that mean thing and me writing my farewell love letters or something.
I bet you they were on great stationery though for you. I bet you they looked really nice, didn't they? Your graphic design. No, I mean, I think for me, one is like I would have definitely had taken time to, like I said, just actually take a little bit more risk. I think, I look back at younger me, and I was definitely a little timid when it came to like certain situations. Like I wish I would have took a little bit more risk and maybe the business sense, right? Or because it's weird, because in a sense you wanted those things for yourself, but you have them now, but like obviously you could have been a little bit more further ahead along in things. But I think often life is about timing. So this is like weird to talk about, like if I could go back in time, but life's about timing, and so things have to come, and they were probably always there, but like I wasn't able to see them. Does that make sense?
Right. Yeah, the clarity. Yeah, I think that's why we're here, with all that experience. I think it is mostly from clarity, not making the same mistake. We probably did make mistakes over and over, and then we finally learned not to do it the same way. Yeah. I think things I put down here, like, obviously, like I said, I had some funny ones, and then I had some serious ones. And this might not be whatever. I would like to spend more time with my grandparents. Like I spent time with my parents, and I know most of their stories. I mean, I think I would like to know a little bit more, but my grandparents, I think in my, teens, 20s, getting to know like their life, their job, their struggles, their love story, they were obviously divorced on my mom's side, but I didn't really actually know my dad's parents, because my parents were divorced, and didn't have a relationship with them. So I only had one set of grandparents. And, even with my grandfather passed in 2008, and my nanny just passed away the past December, 2019. And, I just wish I had spent more time learning about their lives. And it's a part of, like we obviously, came from our parents and them. And I regret a little bit I don't want to have regrets, but I regret not spending more time knowing more about them.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I didn't even think about that one. That was a good one. I mean, I wish I could go back and just really have conversations with my grandparents and just, like I said, just figure out what life was like for them. Like my grandfather always would take time to talk to me, and like he would give me like his little sayings and stuff like that. And I took a lot of what he said, and he was always somebody I really wanted to be, right? Because of just his presence, his business, all the businesses that he owned, and there's the life that he lived, right? And he was married to my grandmother for like 50 years before she died. So like I always kind of envied his life. And so I wish I had more like because you have those conversations with your grandparents, and it's just like it's kind of surface level sometimes, right? It's just like
Well,
you know
it's hard to relate because of the generational gap. We think I was younger and I would say, oh, they don't understand. Nanny wouldn't know about heartbreak and about this. Yeah, right. My grandfather, um, unfortunately, was with his secretary, who he then married and lived a long, happy life. But she was cheated on. She got divorced. She was depressed. She went, never dated again. There's a whole story and a whole, I mean, things that I've learned from maybe, or at least related to, as we got older, and knew that they had gone through things, and then we could have gone to them maybe, or so. Yeah, I would say for people, even my advice now, just for younger people, whether you're in your 20s still and your grandparents are still around, is to spend time with them. Take some notes, take some videos of them. I started taking more videos actually in the last year, or two, of my nanny, so that we had videos of her more. But yeah, that I
yeah,
would suggest that.
that is such an awesome idea, and it's so funny you say that. Kind of gave me a little chill. So I remember hanging out with my grandfather, and my grandpa loves, even though he's passed away, he loves Megan. Like it was the funniest thing to see, like just the way he just gravitated towards her. And I remember sitting and this goes along with taking videos, and that's such a good piece of advice, that he would often say, and this is how I kind of treat my business, treat my personal life. Like he would always say, Billy, when you're walking down the street, say hello to everyone, smile and say hello, because you never know who you might meet. And if they
Right,
don't say hello back to you, pass them by, because there's another person walking down the street. And
right.
he would always say that, always say that. And I was like, man, I would really love to record him. And so he got on a tangent. We were all eating at his favorite place in Collegeville, Pennsylvania. It's called the Collegeville Diner. Loved going there. And this place had like food for days. Like just imagine a diner, right? And the only thing he would get would be chicken fingers and mashed potatoes. That'd be the only thing he would eat.
My nanny only ate chicken fingers too. Swear to God, if my mom's listening or if she watches this, she's gonna laugh.
Yeah, it was funny. Like that's all he would eat when we go there. It'd be like, hey, all this great food.
That's what my nanny would do too.
What is going on here? But she actually got, and I might post it. She actually recorded him without him knowing, him saying all that. And so like I've saved that, and so that's really kind of a cool memory to have. And so I think that's a big thing too, is being able to create. We have such technology, we should be able to create those memories and keep them
Yeah.
forever.
And it's really something we should be doing with our parents too. I mean, I don't want to forget that, like in between the gap, but I don't have kids, so, and I know you guys don't, but I think it would be great for our future kids to have, for us to do those things now, because you never know. I mean, what could happen, and how long we have. So yeah, I think it's good advice for anything, and even just those little things that I say, that my life mottos. My friends joke because I say never refuse a free drink. Life motto number 3. They're not really numbered, but I put a number. I put a different number in front of it every single time just to be funny. But I write them all down, and I think if you could go back then, and even now, just start now. But back then is like writing things down that whether it's quotes or advice or tips or things like that.
Yeah. And then one thing, going back to relationships, that I just was thinking about, like if I could go back, it's not so much like things that I would change about that person, and I said like I would change like some things of how I handle situations, but like, I was thinking about it too, because it's like, it's crazy when you're that young and you're going in a relationship, like you're trying to learn about somebody else and you're also trying to grow as a person. And so like, I wish I would have, really took the time, because there's mistakes I made in, even in early on in me and Megan's relationship that I obviously could go back and rectify those, because even though I did, but you know what I mean? Like maybe it's limited those mistakes and been like, hey, don't do that, because that person's not going to, that's not going to benefit your partner here, right? Or just in general, right? Even in friendship, like you make mistakes and stuff like that,
Absolutely, yeah. And yeah, there's you break trust, you make mistakes, you get in fights, fine. I think too, it's like, you're right. How do you even at that age, like how did we even comprehend the thought that like, oh, we're in love, we're gonna, be with this person in a serious relationship? Like even in college, like I was dating a guy that I went to middle school with in Baltimore, and he went to University of Maryland, and it was all fun. He'd come to Philly, I got to the college life experience because I was at an art school. And I'm like, oh, this is gonna be it. We're gonna get married and all this. How do you even think that you can know somebody at that point when you're not even sure who you are? I mean, there's people in their 20s and 30s that we know who don't even know who they are, and like they're still figuring out themselves and their identity and all these things. So it's like, it's hilarious that we thought back then we knew it all. We were gonna be in these.
We had all the answers, right?
Committed relationships with hockey. I'd be the girlfriend of the hockey house, cleaning up, all the drunk parties, sticking to the floor, like thinking like that was gonna be,
that was going to be your life, right? Like that was going to be the bee's knees. No, it's just, there were probably some, you hit the nail on the head. You're growing as a person, and we're growing every day, but like at that point, like you have, like at least you kind of know, like at age 30-ish, like 25, 30, like kind of generally the person that you're going to be for the rest of your life. Like personality wise, what pisses you off, what makes you happy, right? But like at 18, like you're just trying to figure out like, how do I like survive tomorrow without my parents, right? Like how do I get the laundry done? Like how does that work?
When you say too, like, okay, college is really when your life starts. Like, honestly, I didn't think responsibility here. But I also moved back home to start my business, thinking I was going to save up. So here's another thing of if I could go back. I never saved. I worked on my business. I saved by not having to pay bills and rent because I lived at home. And but I absolutely didn't really. I started my business, but I wasn't saving the money that I would have been spending on rent and bills and food on my own. I wasn't tucking that aside. So your profession obviously is, if one of these about saving money, I wasn't putting that aside instead of giving it to my parents. I was just spending it, and I was putting it into my business, and it was nice that I was able to, not have those expenses, but yeah, I think that's another thing is living at home and living with your parents. Don't just take the free rent and not be putting it aside.
Yeah, I think it comes back to, you were talking, and my head was kind of spinning with thoughts, and having a plan. Like I was just thinking about like obviously I have a plan for my life now, and like I have goals and stuff like that. But like when you first get out of college, right? Like when you were talking about like when the responsibility starts, right? Like it's amazing I even got to where I am right now because I had no plan. No, like
I say that all the time about me.
letting life happen. And it's just like, luckily I made some good decisions that led me to where I'm at. But like, when you turn 22, 23 and you're getting your first job, you're just excited you got a job, right? You're just excited that somebody actually hired you. And then you're like, okay, well, what do I do now? And it's just like, instead of having a plan for everything, well, I'm going to work here for this long, or I'm going to work here and live here and do this. And like you said, save extra money if I can. Like, it was just like, no, just get a job, figure it out.
Yeah.
We'll make it happen. And I think that could have definitely alleviated some of the pain and the the mistakes that you made if I actually had a plan.
Right. And that's what I'm saying. I think, yeah, I moved home to start my business. I was working part-time, doing my business part-time, going downtown Harrisburg. My goal then in my 20s was to really have people know me, network, pass my business card. So I was out a lot, happy hours, networking events, all these things. And that was great. I think it established me and built those connections and those relationships. But I didn't have a plan either. And I guess that's what I was saying before. I kind of went off on a tangent because I'm a yellow, and I really don't feel that my life started until I was in my late 20s. That was kind of where I had my first real serious relationship, got engaged, got married. The responsibilities of things and again, maybe people right out of college, my two best friends had their own house, had their own car. They were very independent and right off the bat because they had to be, but I didn't have to be. So was it taking advantage? Was it being lazy? Was it enjoying things? Maybe, but I feel like for me, it wasn't until certain things started happening, I think that my life quote started. Not saying that my early mid-20s didn't matter, but it didn't in a sense, like with relationships or the things that I was doing. I don't know that I was really doing. I was working. I was doing a stationery show. I just feel like I didn't really start taking things seriously and responsibility wise, bills, things like that. I had them for my business, but individually it wasn't until later.
I feel like in my early 20s, I didn't live up to my potential. Like I left a lot of things on the table, like as far as career and stuff like that. And just overall potential. Because like sometimes, and I know we're not supposed to compare ourselves to other people, right? But every once in a while that thought creeps into your head. And you see like on social media, you'll see like these 20, 22, 23-year-olds, right? And they're running their own, whatever business and stuff like that. And I'm happy for them. But like, I was like thinking about like, man, I wish I could have done that. Like, I wish I would have done that. Right. I wish I would have. And I think that goes back to taking more risk, like figuring out maybe something that, while I'm working in the hotel, I can do on the side and, and maybe have been in a different place, I guess, than I am now. But I mean, like I said,
I just literally admitted to being out all the time. Like I was out Thursday, Friday, Saturday night.
We all were.
People thought I worked at level 2 because I was there all the time. And I think you're right. I definitely, I dicked around. that's what I was just saying, whether it was laziness, procrastinating because they didn't have to. I'm not saying that my parents weren't enablers. They didn't, they were letting me, live there. I had responsibility. I still had like rules and all this stuff. But at the same time, I think I agree. I think I could have been a lot further in my business and financially, savings, if I had done more then too.
Yeah. So it's just funny to just look back and be like, man, how much did it, like, where could it have all been if I would have had the same level of drive, that I do now back then?
Oh yeah.
But I don't know if I would have, just because it all goes back to like everything that you went through has led you to where you're at today. And so I know that, but still, what we're discussing is if I could talk to 18-year-old Billy or 20-year-old Billy and slap him around.
Yeah, work hard. Like, yeah, absolutely. Me too.
Be like, dude, what are you doing? So like, but yeah, that's a good one. I think we should get into some funny ones. I know you have, or do you have a couple more serious?
My only serious one. I do have a lot. I have serious. I have some funny ones. Just not caring what other people think. We've talked about that already, so we don't really need to. But like, stop really giving a what about what other people think, and just do you, like no time frames, like, just, and the comparing and all that, really not worrying about that. And then also that you can't change people and you can't control what they're going to say, what they're going to think, and what they're going to, we know this now. I think we knew it, but we thought we could still, at some point, I feel like back then we could, I don't want to say influence, but you can't go telling myself back then, you're not gonna be able to change what someone thinks. That's what they think. And just really not try, I guess, in a sense, to sway people or change them, or, I mean, even just family, and friends and guys and all that. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's such an important one, is not caring what people think, and then obviously, like you said, I think I posted something earlier this week with like Conor McGregor, and he had this quote. He said, people will love you one week, they'll hate you the next week. Just make sure you get paid for both weeks, right? And so, I think that goes along with that, is like, you do want people to like you and respect you, right? No one wants to be disliked.
Absolutely, everyone wants to be liked.
Like you want to have some level of that, but like you said, you don't want people to dislike you. And so, and that goes with treating people well and all those types of things. But, at the end of the day, I would tell people, like, those people that don't believe in you are definitely don't pay your bills, aren't going to help your life, right? They're not going to further your life and stuff like that. So
the saying is, people that mind don't matter. People that matter don't mind. Or, is it, so I get mixed up?
And
people that mind don't matter. The people that matter don't mind,
Yeah, and Derek just joined. What's going on, brother? So we're talking about
back to back.
What we're talking about today is, if you could go back to your 18-year-old self, 20-year-old self, right? What would be some things that you would tell yourself, maybe to change?
Oh, Derek, you want to hear
that? Yeah. So, but yeah, definitely, I can agree with that. Not caring as much about what people have to say, or not even have to say, just think about me in general, because if it's not serving me, it's probably not worth listening to. Especially if it's not constructive criticism, right? If it's like, hey, you're just an idiot, I don't want to listen to that. So, but what are any other serious ones before we get into some fun ones?
I had some other. Yeah, no, I'm good. Let's have some fun.
Yeah. I definitely would have maybe bet on some world events. You know what I mean? Like, I would have bet on like more sporting events, because like, obviously that's a huge theme in Back to the Future. I can't remember which one, but he has a sports almanac, and he could bet on sporting events and make a ton of money. I think that would be it's been so much fun to been like, everybody would have been like, this guy's a genius. And I'm like, nah, I just already know what's going to happen,
This is like if you went back to the future.
Kind of, but not Back to the Future, but back, going back in time.
Yeah. Back to the Future, to the past. Oh, Derek, this is great. That's what people think. I had a huge sit on my face on the live yesterday. Well, listen, Derek, girls, you can still use cover up if you'd like.
Yeah, I mean, listen, the next step here is we have to have a production crew. We have to we'll probably start wearing makeup, have wardrobe. I mean,
No, it's true. It's true. We care. There's so many things that happened back then that we cared. That was such a big deal. That really wasn't at all. But yeah. No, I think and it's stupid, but like that's serious. But I started taking care of my skin in my mid-20s. I started using moisturizer and sunscreen, and really I stopped tanning. So I think that I started at a good time in my 20s for then obviously in my 30s. But the joke was to take your makeup off at night. Like I wish I had gotten into you started researching makeup.
That's what happens when you upgrade your lighting. You start to notice a lot more things. I noticed, Derek.
Yeah, once you have the ring light, it's like people can see everything. Okay,
Yeah.
but you have to put an extra layer on. But speaking of makeup, yeah, I wish I had got into a habit younger of washing my face at night and taking my makeup off because I feel like I still don't do that religiously, and you know, I wish I got a habit, but I started taking care of my skin in my 20s, and if I could have earlier, obviously I would have, but I think I'm doing a good job for now. But
I don't think that's something I can sympathize with, or even remotely say I would have went back in time to been like, all right, Billy, listen, you need to stop what you're doing and take care of your skin right now.
you know what I mean? Like, there's things that you realize down the road, like in our 30s, we're like, oh God, preventative in our 20s we could have been doing, or not just like our bodies, or I don't know. I mean, there's definitely things that have let us here health wise, and if you could go back and do a better job with I don't know, just like vitamins. Like I never took vitamins until now. I should have been taking calcium or joint support, like things that'll my bones hurt. My bones hurt. My knees. I have a bum knee, and I have arthritis in my big toe, in my right big toe. I broke it, and I went to get an X-ray 3 years ago. Actually, it was right around 31. Yes, and no, I had a break. I had arthritis in my big toe from being stepped on in soccer so many times, and I have a bunion. Oh, so let's talk about that. That's on my list. High heels, ladies. They're fun. They're cute. They're sexy. They're all that. They're pointy, and guess what? They cause you to have toe issues. And well, bunions are genetic. I understand. My mom doesn't have any, so maybe my dad did. I'm not sure. Turmeric. Thank you, Derek. See, I could have been taking things like this. So it could have been helping me along the way. And now I was told at 30, early 30s, that I shouldn't be wearing high heels unless it's a special occasion. And I said to the doctor, "What do you mean, a Friday night?" And he said, no, like once or twice a year for a wedding. And that's not going to happen. So now at 36 years old, I am wearing more expensive shoes because quality, obviously. So unfortunately, I'm paying more for what I did from 18 to, whatever, early mid 20s with these damn pointed high heel shoes that we all needed to wear. No, I would go back and absolutely not be wearing 5-6 inch heels if I knew it wouldn't, I'd be here.
No, I always would tell Megan, like she would always ask me, what shoes should I wear? I'm like, whatever you feel comfortable in, because we're going to be standing for a long time. We're probably going to be walking around. And like my pet peeve, right? Going back to our pet peeves is like when I'm trying to get, especially if it's cold outside, right? And I'm trying to get to the next bar or the next venue, and I gotta wait for the clickety clack behind me because I can walk like a normal person.
It's the sacrifice that we as women make to look good in these high heels and to suffer now with arthritis and bunions.
Needlessly suffered. I never understood heels. I just didn't. I didn't think how they were plausible to walk in. Every time I saw them, like, how do you walk on something that's especially like the stilettos, like the ones that are like
the point, it's the height. Ugh, let's not talk about it. It gives me nightmares. Like seriously, I'm so mad about it.
So something I wish I would have done was invent something. How many times do you watch TV and say, that was such a stupid invention, that dude's making millions of dollars, right? I wish I would have, because there are definitely thoughts in my head that I was like, oh man, that would make it so much easier to do this. Somebody should, I've often said to myself, somebody should invent this. right? Somebody should invent to have a gizmo
I
or
was
gadget that does this, right? And like, it's like you see, like you think of like, I'll give you examples like Uber, right? And like companies like that, and just like apps and all this other stuff. Like I'm like, that's so easy. Why didn't I think of it, right? And that's what keeps me up sometimes. I'm like, I wish I would have had the like mindset to create stuff like that. Like I was already creating in my head, but then like taking it one step further. Inventing something.
I was talking had to have been like my mid-20s, and I hated having to sit by the wall to charge your phone if you wanted to use it. And I kept saying they need to make something that is like charges it wireless. Like, you could plug something in, like maybe you could plug it in here, I don't know, but it could be plugged over there and it doesn't need to be plugged into a cord. Now that doesn't exist. Derek, you go ahead and make that and just add me to the equity. But they did start making the ones you can lay your phone flat and you don't need like you can lay your phone flat. So I don't know.
Yeah, no, I came up with an idea for a restaurant, and
I have an idea for a restaurant too.
And I came up with it, and I was like, this is the theme.
It exists. Oh shoot.
See, look, we're a couple years too late, but I came up with a restaurant for like, it was like along the same lines as Hooters.
I'm not surprised.
Yeah, just because I'm in the restaurant world, but it was it was called Twin Peaks, right? And in my mind, I was like, oh, it's gonna be a great restaurant. And I told a couple people about it, and all of a sudden, the year we're leaving Alabama, we go to Atlanta for a venue, and there's a freaking restaurant there called the Twin Peaks.
No way.
And I was like, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? And they already had like 5 or 6 stores at this point. They had the exact, like all the, like everybody was like dressed in like lumberjack like shirts and stuff like that. And like it was real woodsy. And I was like, somebody I know stole this idea or told somebody, and then this person created this. And now I'm out all that money. I could have been a millionaire.
Could have.
But unfortunately,
since mine hasn't been done yet, I'm not going to give it away. But mine was actually in college, and it was before most of. I wouldn't say there were internet cafes, obviously, for a while, but it was something similar. But tuck that one away still.
So I actually did invent something. I just remembered, and so when I was at the University of Alabama. Funny story. I actually was a senator for the college, and how I became senator is a really funny story. I didn't like the people that were, each college has like a senator or 2 senators or whatever. And I didn't like either of the people that were running. So I wrote my name in, right? And I didn't know if you write your name in, it then becomes on everybody else's ballot that comes after you. And all these people voted for me. And I ended up winning a seat. And so, but anyways, long story short, there's a transit system that runs around the campus now, and they're like all color coded and all this stuff. And like how they pick up kids at certain, it's just a transit system basically. But I'm the one that actually came up with that idea and designed it all and presented it to the school. And I didn't get a dime. I didn't get like a break on my tuition or anything. And that thing is still running today. And it's like 10 or 12 years.
Look at you. That's cool though.
I think that's pretty cool. But still, like they could have given me, be like, hey, here's part of your tuition back, right? Like they could have done that, but they didn't. So that's why I'm still paying student loans.
Yeah.
But yeah, what about you? I came up with inventing. You have, what's another funny one?
Well, I mean, I don't know. I guess mine were kind of more serious than I thought. Like I'll just a fun one. You give another one, I'll think of a fun one in between. But
yeah, I think for me, like business wise, I would have liked to have been on social media and had a bigger presence from like the start of those things. Like there's new ones coming out, right? But like the big ones are that aren't going to be really overtaken anytime soon. The Facebooks, the Instagrams, the Twitters, and stuff like that. Like those are the big players, right? There's a couple new ones out like Clubhouse and whatnot and stuff like that, but like have maybe been a bigger, like been more cognizant of what social media could actually do for people, not just like social stuff, and been like a bigger presence, I guess, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I think so. Yeah, I mean, I think we were just talking about that because the podcast I started following, the Big Girl Problems, and then they link up a lot with Almost 30 podcasts, and they are, you know, obviously huge, but she's been around. Oh my gosh, she's probably late 30. I don't know. Maybe she was doing this in her early 20s, or, you know, like 10 years. And then I was telling you, I was scrolling on Instagram and going back and back and back. I'm like, man, you know, but it's good to see that you have to start somewhere, obviously, like, you know, this with us. But yeah, I think there's definitely a lot that if I had gone back to, I mean, with my business, I would have done things differently, or, you know, started sooner on going online and all that. Yeah, no, I was thinking, actually, it was really funny. I had a great time at my birthday. Everyone who follows my best friend Cecilia on Instagram got a glimpse on a story of me diving off the bar because she accidentally posted it to her entire following of 700 people. I can't really be mad because at that point we really everyone there probably didn't know what we were really doing, but she told us to go to like her close friends, and then 100 people saw it by the time she found it, which is hilarious. But yeah, I mean, I think I was gonna joke about like dancing on the table, or, you know, diving off a bar and accidentally. Oh yeah, Derek. Yeah, it was an accident, or more like, you know, a little bit. We were a little too much this, but just. Like having fun, like letting loose, you know, dancing on the table or doing things that, I don't know. I mean, I did a lot of fun stuff, and I did a lot of, you know, not wild and crazy, but I think, you know, there were times where I probably said, no, I don't want to do that. Or, what are people going to think? Or I'm not that, or I don't know. I think the lady that was with us, an older couple, I mean, I think they're in their 60s. She was the one that was like, let's get up on the bar. Let's dance on the bar. Cause it was, you know, private party, and all the girls were up, and we were just having a good time dancing on the bar. And, you know, and it's like someone at 65 years old is still wanting to, you know, do all this. It's great with, you know, hanging out with 30-year-olds. So I would just say, you know, doing things. I wanted to go skydiving. I wanted to, you know, I had, opportunities that, you know, things that I've always wanted to do, that were like kind of wild, and didn't take them. So I think I would do it.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's always those things. Like I wish I would have, you know, I want to, you know, travel. Those types of things, you know, are always. And we talked about that. You know, some of the things that we want to do on our bucket list and stuff like that. So, but I think it's a good point to get to the most important moment, other than the second to most important moment. I think we should get to there's a special.
The sun is also, sorry to interrupt, but the sun is creeping more and more this way, and I only
know
until it starts to blind me. So
that's why I was like, the sun is taking you over. So it's like I didn't know if you were like moving away for a certain reason.
No, it's coming in this way. So we have like the countdown starting.
Yes, that was the countdown to the millennial meme of the week. And so it's that time of the show where we get to share a funny meme about what we're talking about today. And so I get to go again. So I get 2 times. So then next week, if you tuned in only to see Mel's meme, you're going to have to tune in for next week. I'm sorry, guys. Sorry to break your heart there.
I stole Billy's 2 weeks ago. So now he gets to steal mine.
It was your show. That was something that you definitely wanted to yell about that day. So my millennial meme is, oh man, wish I wish I could go back in time and I'd take State. And I don't know if you guys have ever seen Napoleon Dynamite, but Uncle Rico is holding the football, and he's obviously a little older at this point.
Obviously.
And so always think, I think there's one thing that people think about is like, oh, if I could go back and play sports, right, and be able to do what I did, I know so much more, and I would be more apt to win a state champ. I don't know, but I just thought that was funny.
Yeah, I love it. Good.
So there's also another moment, right, where Mel has her little Mel's moment, guys. So right now it is that time of the show where Mel leaves us with a lasting piece of advice, maybe a joke. We don't really know. It's Mel's moment. So Mel, take your moment.
Sometimes it's weird. Like I watch you sometimes when I'm saying them and you're like,
okay.
Well, as far as some advice today about the podcast and looking back to when we were younger, and if we could go back, what I would say is it's all fun and games to say, hey, we would do this. What would we change? What would be this? What I would ultimately go back and say to myself is everything you're about to do is going to happen for a reason, and it has to happen. So all the heartbreak, all the embarrassment, all the, not just breakups or, it's not just all about guys all the time. But I think I would say is it's going to lead you to where you're supposed to be, because I do ultimately feel that everything that I have gone through, that it is really, I feel really good about those things that I've gone through. And I'm starting my life now, 36 years old, but it's like, I just think, you have to go through those things. It's going to be hard. It's going to suck. But it's supposed to be.
It's life.
Get here. It's worth it. Like, it'll be worth all this shit that you're going to go through to get here.
And right when you said that, your light just went like, it got like brighter all of a sudden. It was like, boom, there's the knowledge of Mel's moment, guys. I wish
there you go.
It needs to happen all the time. So, but anyways, guys, we appreciate everybody that jumped on today and commented back and forth. We really do appreciate it. Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say too, stay tuned tomorrow. Vision boards. Speaking of what happened in the past, we're now going to be talking about what we're doing in the future. Here comes the light again. Okay. The light is coming back, and tomorrow, me and my girlfriends are having a vision board party, and we're going to share our visions with a Why Not Yell with Mel. It might be champagne for mimosas, but stay tuned tomorrow.
There you go, guys. Little plug. And I'm going to give another plug. Next week, we're going to have a special guest on. We won't tell you who quite it is yet. We want it to be a little bit of a surprise, but we're going to be talking a little bit about brand, doing branding, that type of stuff, little mindset stuff. So if you're interested in learning about, self-branding and stuff like that, make sure you set some notifications for the show and let us and jump in, because we get, and ask some questions. So you'll definitely be able to do that. But anyways, guys, like I said, we always appreciate everybody that jumps on here for a little bit and hangs out with us. Hopefully we could bring you a little bit of value today, maybe a little laughing, maybe a little deep thought about where your life has been going, right?
Fine if you guys laugh at us and not with us,
Yeah. So, but we really appreciate it.
Wrap it up.
We really appreciate it, guys, and we will talk to you soon. Make sure you check us out next week. Have a good one, guys.